Alright, good evening everybody. System Chalk here for the 60th episode of Cultist Simulator, the Dancer DLC, playing as Margaret Zell. We're currently under investigation, so we're going to have to get rid of a bit of evidence in a little bit. We're currently performing at the Gaiety, and this is one where I wouldn't be too upset if we didn't have an opportunity to do a little bit more. The extra money is nice, but what we're hoping to do is use the Dread to resummon a Percussagant. And of course, while the Percussagant's being resummoned, we'll use the Callagine to get rid of any evidence that comes up. We've also been preparing some expeditions in the Lone and Level Sands. If I want, I can actually send my 2 summons off on those right away. The thing I'm a little bit worried about, though, is if there's about 20 seconds left for these summons, and for whatever reason, I have a delay between expeditions, because there's always going to be a few seconds where I'm not paying attention. But more importantly, if we get to the end of my expeditions and for whatever reason I have somebody occupying the talk verb, one great example I could think of this would be repairing the mirrors. That's just going to be a situation where I lose the Percussagant or the Callagine. And on its own, that's not the end of the world. For the most part, we would just use some of our some of the resources that we have on the table here. But it's much easier to resummon Percussagants and Callagines with the tools that you have available than it is to just run off and try and make one from scratch. So that's what we're going to be doing for the next little while. I didn't take a look. Okay, we've got a Season of Despair coming up. I might actually be in a bit of trouble there. The Season of Despair will appear before I'm able to use this Dread as an input. So, my hand may be forced, actually. I may actually have to use the Dread in an induction, in which case we would send the Percussagant and the Callagine off to the Temple of the Seven Coils. We'll see. Let's see what happens. Nothing. My words cease like sand in a glass. Well, I guess I need to make my decision now. Well, 35 seconds we're going to lose the Percussagant anyway, so I think we're just going to have to get hit by the Dread, and then maybe we'll do a painting to make myself feel better. The sick room grows close and stale. It's time to get up. So here we'll go with the Wildering Mirror. It doesn't really... Well, actually, if I'm worried about Dread, this is the worst place I could be going right now. I think I'm going to just leave my dream slot alone then. Again, I'm going to be going to the Worm Museum to try and get a map. Mirrors are calm, the sun is steady, the glory recedes. I'm sane if that means anything. No fascination drives your visions, it's over for now. And I prepared the text for study. So, just as a precaution, I think we're going to do a bunch of translations rather than read the remaining books. So, lock the study door, the work begins. And apparently we're still getting lucky, so I'm safe for now. My adversary has not enough evidence to bring a case against me, and they found no new clues. I felt all their eyes upon me. Afterwards I received a gift from an admirer, too gaudy for my tastes, but I can sell it on the second-hand market. So normally here I would want to do a commission, but because we are trying to get contentment, so there's a lot of things that are actually blocked up now that we have the Season of Despair. So I just want to try and do a little bit of a recap in terms of what exactly is being held up. So I could send my summons off to the expeditions. That's true. Now actually I guess I don't need to worry about the evidence anymore for the Callagine. So that sort of saves me. So I guess the one thing that I do have available to me is I can move on the expeditions right away. Well, I can do so in 18 seconds. I was hoping to get at least one more one more location to make a move on. And to do that, I would need to go through the Peacock Door. Now, if I go through the Peacock Door onto the War Museum, there's a chance that I'll be getting Dread, and of course that's 2 out of 3 Dread that can lead to a game over. So what I would want to do is, try and get rid of the Dread through a painting. Well, if I do the painting, that means that I can't, do a commission. Again, not the end of the world, but it'd be nice to be doing some of these other things. And of course, most importantly, while I'm not going on expeditions, I'm also not reading texts, because I don't want to be generating Dread as well. And it's pretty clear, at least 2 of 3 of these seem to be very likely to produce a Dread. So we certainly have some work ahead of us. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to grab the notoriety. We don't have any Mystique on the table anymore. I could get some if I turn in a commission, but we'll just do a painting to try and bring up the contentment. Let's do I guess I can't paint my health. I don't know what I thought I was doing there. I'm just trying to think if there's any side effects that I want. I guess I'll do a painting of Dorothy for the Heart Influence. Something to remember them by, perhaps. And again, there's nothing forcing me to not go on these expeditions, but I think it would not be a bad idea for me to... Excuse me. I don't think it would be a bad idea for me to work a little bit with, with longer-lasting summons. We won't pay for the paints just because we only have 1 reputation inside of it. I do have, plenty of money. That's not that big of a worry, but I just don't think I'm going to get that much of a return. We don't need to pay for paints to be content. The world goes away. Well, if I'm worried about restlessness, here's another source. This is something special. It may provoke a reaction. Okay, Season of Vision's coming up, so this may also... depending on how the painting turns out, I may actually have some trouble there as well. Alright. Okay, that's fun. So I was worried. Oh, no, hang on. No, okay, we're fine. My recent work has drawn some attention. Something should sell. And a light in the skull. Whenever the principle of lantern sheds its light, I may have recall additional scraps of knowledge. Now, I'm kind of curious what provoked that, because passion is moth. I'm happy enough to get the erudition. I just didn't think I would get it. In any case, we've got the contentment. We actually had several contentment, but we know that's not a problem anymore, so we can start to do things that can potentially generate Dread for us now. So that means we go to the Peacock Door. Excuse me. The Peacock's door reflects the mirror I hold in my sleep, and the mirror reflects the Peacock's door. Already a sensuous shiver ripples its surface. It aches for fracture, and when it finds that satisfaction, I will enter. Now we have 64 seconds for the contract at the Gaiety, so much like the last time we had a chance to resummon the Percussagant, I could, if I wanted, start the summoning now. The drawback is that if the summoning resists, then I have trouble at my job. So I am going to use the health again. The stage awaits, hot and clean and bare and bright. If I move the moves and step the steps and do what is required, they'll pay me. Now, even if we get Dread from the restlessness, this is not going to affect us because we are clearing away the despair. Despair is the wolf that devours thought. The other thing that could potentially happen is even if it turns to a despair, we just use that as an input for resummoning the Percussagant. But the other thing that could just happen is that the restlessness lasts long enough that we're able to resummon the Percussagant on its own. So in this case, I don't feel too bad about going back to the Gaiety. I should also be reading books, so... The book contains mostly the prayers to the unburnt god, the Forge of Days, which consumes and transforms. It suggests the Forge's power arises partly from its nature and partly from its tools. If we're in a hurry for summoning, I actually have a few different influences we could use. So for instance, the glimmering, the contentment, the fleeting reminiscence, I'd be reluctant to use the vitality, but that can be used as well for resummoning the percussagant. So here we're going to talk to the Callagine again. We'll bring the percussagant in. We need to wait for the dance to finish. And dusty facts have become clear in my brain, for now at least. And I'm no further along my path of change in the movements of the secret forums. I must find my lesson. Okay, so we got a little lucky here, and we can do the summon early. Oops. Okay, let's take our sunset rite. We will offer up our restlessness. Nope. None of that's going to matter because I don't have the percussagant on the table. Oh, odd. Huh. So for whatever reason, the... I bet you there's something that stops... It's almost like there's the, like this is blocking it. Interesting. Okay, that's definitely one I should be able to put a report in for. Where was I? Sunset Rite. And the formula Ophidian. The percussagant, merciless and merry, heart will bring it, edge will constrain it. So again, the hope here is in 60 seconds we'll have a percussagant to work with. If it resists, we'll use reason again, but that does mean we have to go back to the gaiety, and it just takes longer for us to get what we need done. But the big thing about this was just getting rid of the restlessness. As long as I'm not generating anything that can potentially end the run, the rest is something we can deal with in time. Okay, Unresolved Ambiguity. Let's see if we get lucky with the Worm Museum. We do not. Perfect Frost. Last night I visited the Worm Museum, which is both within the Mansis for security and without for safety. The Hours have charged the Colonel with its defense, and even the Lionsmith does not challenge him here. Winter is the chiefest aspect of this place. The worms thrive where things end, but they can also be ended, and they must if the Mansis is to endure. This morning, the chilly certainty of the Colonel's hand still rests on my shoulders. The world is still as ice. Each movement is a journey. A 15th Order influence. This can be used in some rites to summon minions. If unused, it will become dread. So, I will admit, I definitely find some influences a little bit easier to use than others. So there's generally, there are plenty of winter aspected summons that are very helpful. So for instance, things like the Maid in the Mirror. The reason I'm reluctant to use those kinds of summons is just, to me, I can generally get what I need done through other means. And those other means generally do not produce negative effects. So for instance, a Maid in the Mirror, if you allow it to expire, it's going to leave a winter aspect, and that winter aspect is going to produce dread, and that means you have to deal with dread at a point that might not be convenient for you. If you contrast that to a percussagant, that's going to leave the hard influence, and that hard influence is eventually going to leave vitality. Well, vitality is pretty helpful to have around. That's something that's going to allow you to that's going to be something that allows you to get rid of sickness without having to pay for medicine. So, again, the Maid in the Mirror is certainly a very powerful summon, and it's something that if I were not to have a certain number of followers... I guess the simple example I could give would be, if you think about some of the characters, some of the times where I need to bring 2 followers in on an expedition, and how that sort of takes time, or how that takes up actions, and I need to be careful in terms of how I bring it up. Having the Maid in the Mirror is one of those things that allows you to avoid situations like that, and so you can gain some efficiency. It means that you save time elsewhere. But for me, the threat of having to work around something like a dread or a fascination or whatever, makes me a little less inclined towards getting those summons unless I have a very specific purpose for them. And oftentimes, again, those specific purposes can be fulfilled by other characters who don't have such a high implicit cost. The book describes an earlier house of the sun whose doors and ways were different. It praises the Forge of Days for opening the ways into the house and for transforming that which was to that which is, despite the screams of stone. So we've got the Rite of the Crucible Soul again. I believe that comes from the same. I can never remember the original. I remember the original author's name, but it's changed. But I always thought, I mean, there's a couple of deliberate references to the previous Forge work, which gives you the Ardent Orison, and I'm pretty sure it gives you the Rite of the Crucible Soul as well. I can't. Burning by the Ember God is the book I'm referring to. Anyways, do I feel safe enough to bring a dread in? I think I do, so we'll start with how the end will begin. In the foretold war, the children of the Leashed Flame march on the cities of the continent, but I should read this first. How the end will begin, a prophecy of the Wars of the Roads, recorded in the subcontinent in the days before the great hooded princes. In the foretold war, the children of the Leashed Flame march on the cities of the continent, but the enactors of solar law and the Triple Sisterhood join forces to hold them back at tremendous cost. So there is a small risk here, right, that there's dread being generated, and then we do have the Perfect Frost, which is potentially going to be generating dread on its own, but I can always get rid of influences through other means, or subvert them for that matter. So I'm less worried than I would be in other circumstances. It does feel a little bad that I'm not... Actually, what I can do is I can send the Callagine out to explore, and I can use my talk to turn in a few things. So let's start by talking with Count Jannings. I have what was requested. And then we can get a commission from Dr. Adim. I received the currency of the secret world, and my patron has let tantalizing information slip. The doctor would like help with his research. I might have found somewhere unusual. So I'm not opposed to checking out Streets Strange by Moonlight, but I can probably get other things. So we'll take our chances again. And first the thump, the rattle and cry of the ceremonies it attends in the wood. Now here it is, shouldering its way through the world's skin, like a clawed and ruthless uncle or a headless flapping bear. So a couple of nice things that come out of that. So we've got a fresh percussivant to work with, and just at the time that the talk verb becomes available, so that's nice as well. But I also have a spare percussivant, which I can use for a number of different things, or I can just let it expire, and then it, it becomes vitality for me. So here's what I'm going to do. We're going to perform at the Gaiety first. Stage awaits, hot and clean and bare and bright. If I move the moves and step the steps and do what is required, they'll pay me. And Dr. Dean would like a lantern commission. Now, we talked about the order in which I put characters, so I know I'm not going to be resummoning a percussivant again, so we'll... yes, I'm going to do this, as much as I'd like to repair the glass. So I'm going to put the percussivant in here for starters, but once the Callagine becomes available, possibly in 5 seconds, then we'll replace the two. Again, I would like to repair the mirrors if possible, but I also would like to keep my summons fresh because I can start them off on expeditions. Okay. I can still justify using the Callagine for exploration. Right, bad luck there. Now the end will begin. In that battle between the imperishable legions and the Leashed Flame, the legions will perish and the flame will be unleashed. So this, we skip the next level and we go straight to the mysteries of force. The Colonel and the Lionsmith are gods who are flesh, but the Wolf Divided is a god who is blood. Cunning, strength, and agony are the 3 roots of victory, and here is their secret doctrine. So I'm going to have to move the audience around a little bit here because I've got a few people in the center who are going to get in the way, so we'll... Oh. Not crazy about that overlap, so I do have an empty space here, which I could... Mysteries of Force. The Colonel and the Lionsmith... sorry, I want to try this again. The Mysteries of Force. The Colonel and the Lionsmith are gods who were flesh, but the Wolf Divided is a god who was blood. Cunning, strength, and agony are the three roots of victory, and here is their secret doctrine. And... Sorry, I'm trying to remember what I was trying to get out of that, but... It's past. Okay. The other thing that I could try would be to do them lengthwise. So I think there might be enough space for that, but I don't know. Yeah, well, if we have trouble running them as a length like this, it's going to be... Yeah, that's not going to work either. It's always the items that I struggle with. All right. We'll put the high-powered version of each of these at the top. I have some ideas, but I don't want to spend too much time on this either, so I'll at least try and tidy this up a little bit. And then, yeah, I'm going to put all of this sort of down below for a start. Well, that I can move aside, but yeah, for the rest of this, we'll deal with it as time goes by. But that's not going to work with my commissions, though. Okay, we're starting to get some semblance of order. Moving on, The Second Glory, a work by Jusei, the priest and hermit scholar. So this is the last book that we have before I'm going to start upgrading secret histories. Again, not a problem for me because, you know, I do actually want to get that other vagabond map. In fact, maybe I want to move with the Unresolved Ambiguity. This actually isn't a bad idea because that'll also give me a chance to deal with the dread. History is less certain than we are taught. I can learn from the study of its blurred edges. Okay. While we're working through that, I might have found someplace. Man, they really like giving me Street Strange by Moonlight. So here's the plan. I think on the side what I'm going to do is put my solid possessions. So things like the icon of St. Agnes and the Geminiad. Tonight I sense an opportunity. Tonight I could attract attention if I cease to hold back, if I commit myself more fully. Tonight they'll notice that. I guess this counts as an ingredient, so that would be set to the side. Oh, I forgot the knock for some reason. Kind of like how it works out that there's no Secret Histories painting that you can make in the game. Obviously there is a Secret Histories painting, but I kind of like the fact that the implication is that the painting for in the setup that I've got here, the painting for the paradoxical curio is are the expeditions themselves. Not intentional, but just a fun way that turned out. Okay, so I'm hopeless at getting this to line up. This is going to be a bit of a pain in terms of repairing the mirrors and such, but I may wind up putting that closer to the dream slot later. Okay, that's I think that works for me in terms of the placement of the physical objects. These are going to be going by the auction house, so they get in a separate location. Now what we'll do is I'll take sort of the individual ingredients. I'm going to put the hazardous ones away from the guests. I don't think lethe is a poison, right? Yeah, no, that's fine. Oh, forgot the winged dolls. Okay, I can put that by the Meravine idol. Oh, but we wind up putting the dangerous stuff in reach. We gotta make sure we don't put the poisons near Neville. I feel like Neville's probably the more likely one to have an accident. The poisons keep getting closer. It's like they want to be consumed. They're the Tide Pods of the occult. I don't recommend you drink the Ichor Vitreous, but I don't think it'll kill you. There we go. It's not quite what I would have choose, but it does the trick. All right, I get the job done. All right, we will hire the hulking fellow. This is someone who I'm okay betraying. I felt all their eyes upon me. Afterwards, I received a gift from an admirer. Too gaudy for my taste, but I can sell it on the second-hand market. So, we get to see the benefit of the kind of the sort of rotation I have here for the summons. We wanted to resummon a Callagine, so now we're able... Actually, this one might be a little harder, because I believe... Yeah, I actually need the knock. So in this case I have to use the bitter atmosphere. Now that's gonna sort of wrap up the time that I have it sooner. But anyways, I can get the Callagine out of this, so I'm not gonna complain. Forge for the Smoky Spirit summoning, winter for its binding. It must know who will rule it. So my next question here is, so nothing my words cease like sand in a glass. Am I willing to let this percussagant lose a bit of its duration so that I can get the mirror repaired? I think I want certainty as far as the as far as the Calagine's concerned, so I'm going to talk with this again. And time the sundial's shadow passes. I must have funds to live, or I will become ill. So one nice side effect that wasn't intentional, but by not reading the second glory... Actually, I guess we're not even translating the second glory. But by not reading the second glory, even though I think it's going to be dread that comes up, we have avoided the potential that the fascination's going to become a problem as well. So, you know, again, it's not... you can't plan for like 5 seasons worth of events coming up. Like, eventually you're going to get hit by everything. But in this case here, we're a little lucky in the sense that I'm probably going to avoid the worst of it, just because I already have, you know, a number of my, you know, I've got my erudition, I've got my glimmering, I've got a few things to move up my my expeditions. So, or at least find new expeditions. I'm safe for now. My adversary has not enough evidence to bring a case against me, and they found no new clues. Okay, still nothing to do with Dream for the time being, although we will imprison the hulking fellow when we get a chance. Okay, this is a puzzle with missing pieces. I might find those pieces in odd corners of scholarship. My own heart pumps more strongly today, so we've actually got a fair or I thought we had a fair share of vitality. Looks like we just only have the one now. I thought we had more than one. But depending on how the winter influence turns out, we may be able to take advantage of the the faster decay on the winter influence and subvert it into heart. Aha, there it is. Is that it? And this will buy their loyalty for now. So we'll keep these hanging around for a bit. I want to see how the summon turns out. Excellent. Alright, not all of the Forge's children are bright. Its offcuts and its bastards gather in the bounds like hammer scale in the cracks of a smithy floor. Here comes one now. So, as expected, we've got the icy atmosphere here. Well, we're still probably not going to be able to make much of that. But it does mean that I've sort of unlocked a bunch of potential. So, let's start by going to the Gaiety. The stage awaits, hot and clean and bare and bright. If I move the moves and step the steps and do what is required, they'll pay me. And then in 3.8 seconds, we'll move on to our next expedition. Okay, so Temple of the Seven Coils. A crumbling temple and a shadowed defile. It was built, it seems, in the third history, the one where much later the worms overran Europe, but it exists in all the histories now. The site will tolerate no life, says the Journal of Zane Mark Gentis, so we will find no serpents there. But the place sounds cursed, and Gentis recorded a door that his expedition could not open. So, you know how I love curses. In this case, we're still going with the Percussagant and the Calagine because they are what I have available. This one must serve another purpose now. Into the cupboard they go. And this means that we're basically going to lose the Calagine and Percussagant. Well, not entirely. I suppose we could talk with them. But the question is, to what end? What am I gaining by preserving these? I could, I guess, bring them on the expedition again. Actually, yeah, I guess that gives me something I can do with them. If I keep talking with them, then I can slowly add them to the expedition, because both will have something that I can use. The mirrors are calm, the sun is steady, the glory recedes. I'm saying if that means anything. If fascination drives your visions, it's over for now. And Season of Contentment, so in the worst case, we can use the Dread for something else. I've locked this one away safely. When their screaming and raving subsides, I will subdue them properly. So this is something for the Spider's Door if we're so inclined. And I think I am, actually, so... In my dreams, I know the path through the silken sands to the spider's door. If I slake its thirst by spilling fresh blood before I sleep, it will open to me. The spider's door is always thirsty, always. The blood I have given leaks in threads and spills through the skin of the world, and the door drinks it, and a moment's satisfaction swells its opening until I can pass. Alright, I think that will be it for us tonight. I know I had to spend, well, I didn't have to, but I did spend a bit of time realigning the items. It's not perfect, but it's a little, I think it's a little more organized, and it does help me avoid the, so we were always kind of on borrowed time as far as the block of lore was concerned. Inevitably, it was going to head down to this level, so we've got, was it, it's not the proscenium, it's the stage where I don't know my theater terms anymore. Anyways, it's one of those ones where the stage kind of moves out into the audience. But we can there are, like, so whenever part of the fun of the game for me is to come up with just different layouts. Some of them I like a little bit more than others, but one of the challenges sometimes is that the most efficient layouts are not necessarily always the most fun. So some of the problems with this one, for instance, are going to be that if I want to repair the cracked Wild Ring mirror, well, that's dragging something from down here up to the top, and then I'm grabbing a bronze Spintrea from over here. This is one of the reasons why I find possessions to be one of the more difficult things to deal with in the game. And actually, oddly enough, it's Exile that really leans into this, because you do actually want quite a few possessions. You do want quite a bit. It makes you more powerful, it improves your comfort, and just there's lots of different reasons why that's a good thing to have. But of course, the more you have, the harder it is to escape, and that can create its own problems inside of Exile. But for us here, it's really just a matter of trying to manage everything on the desk. Either way, that is a conversation for another time. Thank you very much for watching. This should be the last episode of the week, so I hope you all have a very enjoyable weekend. I'm gonna get some much-needed sleep, I think. But I hope it's restful. I hope you get a chance to catch up with Cultist Simulator, or otherwise spend your time how you would enjoy it. And I will see you all on Monday for another series. Or continuing the same series. Sorry, like I said, I'm tired. Have a lovely evening. Lovely evening, lovely weekend, and we'll see you in the next one.